Haley. Welcome to the whole podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Haley Korf. I am your vision impaired host. And today we are interviewing Howard LaRue, and he is from AlphaPointe. So, Howard, would you like to introduce yourself and your job title a little bit and tell us what you do at AlphaPointe?
Absolutely. So, first off, thank you for having me. This is my very first podcast
Yay.
supporting AlphaPointe and ever. And so, a little bit of who I am and how I ended up here in your room today. I've been working with AlphaPointe for the last year and 2 months. I'm their director of rehabilitation and clinical services. And my role at AlphaPointe is to help ensure that our instructors, those that are clinicians providing services to patients, can get the resources, tools, and training that they need to be on stronger footing or ground, and making sure that those that are in need, they're receiving our services, have all the resources at their fingertips. And so, overall, it's things like youth programs. So from young age to working age adults going through our training programs, and uh, on to seniors that are either trying to still enjoy those daily activities out in the community, or maybe are more shut-ins at home. We work with every age, just about every population here in the Kansas City metro and about 100-mile square foot radius. And my role is just to make sure that people have what they need so that they can do their job.
Yeah. So, because I am familiar with AlphaPointe, I understood exactly what you were saying. However, can you break it down a little bit more so that the public who may not know about your facility understands what AlphaPointe truly is? There's so many great things that it's hard to compact it. I know, but if you could just break it down a little bit, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So I'll start at the very beginning. So Alpha Point is a organization. We're a not for profit, so 501(c), and our organization focuses on serving the visually impaired and blind.
Hmm.
And specifically, we do a couple things at Alpha Point. We offer employment opportunities at Alpha Point where we make products. We have a manufacturing department. We make office products. We make tactile products. We make medication bottles or different plastics. We have a variety of different products that we distribute and sell to the greater area here and then throughout the nation. We also provide training services for individuals that have had an acute injury and have lost their vision and they're now adjusting to blindness, or individuals that maybe had um, an unfortunate event where they didn't have the resources they need as they were growing and experiencing a life as a visually impaired or blind person.
Hmm.
And so, if we dive into some of those services, specifically at youth programs, our role within youth programs is to support kids beyond the school age experience. So these kids are usually in just traditional private or regular schools throughout the area, or they're going to a school like Kansas School for the Blind. Um,
Hmm.
and when they go to those schools, sometimes they need activities after school, and that's where Alpha Point can come in, and we can support those after school activities through something called the expanded core curriculum. We're
Hmm.
focusing on things like social engagement, adaptive technology training, overall things like orientation and mobility,
Hmm.
the things that our adults are learning that are adjusting to being blind or visually impaired. But kids also need those interactive skills too. And the youth is really exciting because not only is it just learning these new skills or performing these different tasks and having an area to do that in that's safe and effective, but it's fun. We have a youth program manager that embraces the culture of providing organic learning opportunities and ensuring that kids are not just learning an experience, but they're having a great win and success moment too. And so often what we'll see is sometimes kids are in our youth programs and they often come back and become either staff or counselors or involved as volunteers from time to time.
Yes, yes. No, I've seen that, through your organization. It's amazing. It's really important, though, to have those programs because when you're vision impaired or recently blind, it's hard to be social. It really is, and how to interact in the sighted world, if you will. So it's really great that you have those programs available because it's such a hard thing to learn even as adults, if you can get there a little bit earlier, that would help so many issues in the future. So
Yeah.
I fully support those programs, yes.
Oh, great. We always take another supporter.
Absolutely, always. So for those who don't know, I actually received my blindness skills through AlphaPointe when I was like 17, and I don't want to tell you how many years ago that was, but yes. um, as you know, though, it is a constant learning ability. This, for example, just so everyone knows, I'm trying something new today. This is they call it a portable CCTV. And so it's easier to carry around with you. And I'm going to see if I can utilize this to read my questions to you a little bit easier. So please bear with me. If this goes weird, I might just put it under the table. So
Great. Yeah.
cool. Okay. So let me get this a little bit turned on. It seems to just turn off on me. So, okay. So let's see here. We're going to look at number 2 if you have your questions, if that helps you. Alpha Point has been around for over a century. Um, have you seen how the organization has evolved in your time at Alpha Point, or have you heard about how it has changed from then? Because it's changed in the several years that I've worked with Alpha Point in the past.
One thing that I gained immediately when I entered the doors at Alpha Point was that I knew nothing about this community base and this population. And I felt it was really important that I dove into the history of Alpha Point.
Hmm.
So it started with the founder, Catherine Hale, had a
Hmm.
brother, wanted to foster an opportunity for employment for him, and then others in the community that had a disability as well. I can't imagine what life was like 100 years ago, but they had a purpose and their goal was to provide some skills. They were doing some soft skills training, they were doing tactical skills training. And then Also, the climate of 100 years ago was far different than it is today. Probably some things that are rooted in how we do our mission, though, are still very much the same. What I imagine has changed significantly is our ability to try to create awareness within the community and our focus on ensuring that the population that we're trying to serve knows about Alpha Point and they have a resource that's available to them that they may not be thinking of.
Hmm.
I imagine it was harder to communicate those things in the past. As it relates specifically to the organization as a whole, the big change is back then it was just brooms. So it was one product,
Hmm.
and there was a high demand at that time for janitorial services, specifically the broom, and they had to just pump out a huge volume. And then they got those tangible skills along the way. We're far more complex now than what we were then, because we have 100 different products now. Our services are specific, they're measurable. We're very analytical about what we're providing, ensuring that we're cost effective. We're lean margins. As a non for profit, we gain our revenue either through state based referrals or through services referred to us by community based providers, and then those manufacturing goods that we're supplying to the nation and abroad. So I just know that the complexity is probably the single point of most difference compared to 100 years ago. But I imagine the culture, the mission, overall, their perspective of wanting to serve this population has pretty much stayed consistent along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, It is difficult to share your company as a resource because not many people understand vision impairment still to this day. And so when I am telling somebody I'm vision impaired, they're like, "Are you blind?" And so I have to always share and teach people. So it is a very difficult thing to get across to a lot of people. So um, kudos to you for expanding that because that's very, very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's a huge point of learning curve for myself too. This last year, every person that comes through our door has a different vision experience,
Yes.
and no two people are the same.
Correct.
And their personal takeaways or moments of success aren't may be measured by vision. It may not, depending on if they're low vision or someone that's totally blind.
Mhm,
So learning the spectrum of vision loss or visual impairment has been a very steep learning curve as well. It's one of
mhm,
those that I wanted to at least be prepared to answer. Do you support this type of vision loss or vision? And you can rely on things like legally blind. You can
mhm.
rely on things like counselors or support agents that they may be being sponsored by or funded by. But yeah, it's a really different market compared to where I came from.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask you about that. That was one of our questions, and I couldn't tell you which one at this point, but I was gonna ask you what it was like to come in as somebody who does have vision to understand the vision impaired and blind world. And are your clients receptive to having you come in and help them as somebody who's vision? Because there are some times where you just want to be around somebody who is vision impaired as well, and you don't have to explain all the little things. Because if I'm looking at somebody who's vision impaired, who's my colleague, I don't have to explain why I'm not making eye contact. They just know, and I'm not being rude. It's just this is where I'm at in my day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is that something you've struggled with working in the blind community?
Yes. So I don't think I necessarily struggle with it in a sense of like a negative
Yeah.
effect from it, but or connotation. The struggle that I've had with it has been a little bit the inverse perspective,
Okay.
meaning sometimes I envy individuals that are visually impaired or blind that can closely relate to someone that's receiving our services,
Hmm.
and they do have a sense of trust and advocacy that they know is built in because
Yes.
they've walked that mile or have experienced those life experiences.
Hmm.
So I often find myself trying to find a way to relate. What I lean on as it relates to when those things kind of pop up in my mind is just maintaining equity and ensuring that I'm fair and I'm consistent, whether you're someone with sight or someone without. I want to treat people the same. So I try not to I try not to go out of my way to make it known that the person I'm working with is visually impaired or blind. uh, I would hold the door for someone regardless. I would maybe provide guidance to them if they had a question or needed some assistance, and I would offer assistance regardless of creed or disability. So I think that I can kind of lean on that as my compass. But overall, it has been difficult because I do see that population, the visually impaired and blind population, uh, they do. We do see that sorry, excuse me. When I do work with this population, I do see that there's that sense of, hey, I know as a sighted person, you don't know what I've lived or what I've, what type of experiences I've had.
Mhm.
If I can, um, if I can embrace that and still be empathetic and imagine that even though I haven't lived those life experiences, their stories are still meaningful, and I can listen to them and listen to learn versus listen to respond. I think that those things can just continue to help me understand them.
Absolutely. And listening to just listen is one of the hardest things to do. And so I appreciate that that's where you're coming from because it is, you hear more of their story in the things that maybe they're not saying versus what they are saying. So just listening to listen is part of that. And I really appreciate that. Thank you. Gosh darn, there was something I was going to say. Um, hmm. I was gonna say though, I think it's also helpful to have people who are sighted working with the blind community though, because some of us don't know how to explain how we see, and to be asked to communicate that with you, I think helps build that advocacy for ourselves. And so that is something that I had to learn a long time ago is how do I say what my vision is in like a quick 5-second thing, so that I can communicate with like my boss or say, "Hey, I really cannot see this and this is why." So I appreciate that you're willing to listen because sometimes it also helps me and others learn how to advocate for ourselves. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So
I enjoy that. That's a big win for me compared to, the the type of organization I worked with in the past.
Mhm.
We are mission focused. My role here is really just a support agent and be that facilitator, ambassador of resources. So I'm not an instructor. I'm not a clinician, but I am someone that can help support the program and keep them leaning into being able to expand our programs
Mhm.
and understand how to scale um, when the community demands it.
Mhm.
And so that's one. The one benefit is when I go home at the end of the day, it's rewarding to work at Alpha Point and to watch someone go through a growth mode over time, and to see them have that success point that they experienced before your eyes. And so it could be a variety of things, whether it's navigating our hallways or cooking a meal or that financial literacy thing
Mhm.
that's so important right now with budgeting and finance.
Yes.
It's really opportunistic to be a part of that community and understand where I can have an impact.
Yeah. Yeah. No, those are very tough things to navigate. So we appreciate all the help. All the help. Okay. So this silly device keeps turning off on me. I apologize. I will figure that out. Okay. Let's look at number 3. Okay. What type of training and employment opportunities does Alpha Point offer? We've kind of talked about it a little bit that you offer that, but I know that there's so much more than a couple of sentences that we've already said. So, do you have any more you would like to add on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't speak specifically for all the jobs over in our manufacturing department. I'm not the subject matter expert over there. I've
Mhm.
only done a couple dozen tours and talk about the key highlights, the key takeaways. But imagine going into an Amazon warehouse, and there's people that are picking and pulling products off the shelves. There's people that are boxing things. There's people that are doing inventory checks or quality management. Um, at Alpha Point, we have all of those jobs for our visually impaired population, and even some sighted jobs over there.
Mhm.
We're 75% workforce though are specifically blind or visually impaired. We also do things that are far more complex too. So we work a fabrication line where we're making goods, or we're using moldings, or we have a clean room maintaining sterilization. All those jobs are, again, jobs that we train and support people to learn that are visually impaired and blind. And sometimes that's ensuring that the job itself can be performed safely and effectively. And so you build in some customizations there or adaptations. And other times it's really learning from the individual as they go through um, that that job development process and figuring out where they can have efficiencies built in based off of their own feedback. And so there's all kinds of jobs over on the manufacturing department, but more or less it's like walking into any manufacturing organization and knowing from high level uh, to to entry level. It spans the spectrum. Over on our services department, when we talk about employment opportunities, we have specifically a job placement specialist.
Mhm.
His role is ensuring that one, there's advocacy in the community
Mhm.
um, for equitable employment opportunity. So he gets most of his referrals from the state, and
Mhm.
so someone will come to him and they say, "Hey, I'm visually impaired or I'm blind. I have either lost my job as a result of that, or I am now entering the workforce because of that." And he starts talking them up all the expectations to imagine when they go in front of a prospective employer. He's also working on those prospective employer relationships too, so it's bi-directional. But his role is, in essence, to support people as they hit the career market, whether that's in customer service or, again, manufacturing. It could be in tech, which is in huge demand and booming right now. And then it could be in other different types of skills, whether it's sales or soft skills. Um, he has currently about 35 people in his caseload, and he's had some great successful job placements, but there's still so much work to be done there, creating awareness.
Mhm.
As it relates to specifically the types of training that we do for employment, we can customize that based off of their particular career interests. So um, I wouldn't imagine anybody would come to Alpha Point and they would say, "Teach me how to do something."
Mhm.
Instead, they're going to tell us what they want to learn how to do
Mm.
based off of their IEP or their career path plan with their referring agent or their counselor. And so we can do those tech skills. We have a training department that can focus on understanding what it's like to be a cybersecurity officer or going through and being a data entry manager. Um, and then we can also work on those leadership skills they would need to then promote within that industry. It just depends on what they're looking to do. We have people that have been in our program that have sought retail positions. We just had someone graduate within this last month that wants to be a food vendor. He wants to work big venues and go out to different places and just provide on demand food for people that are hungry in the moment. And so um, that's really exciting because that's the career he came from. He
Mhm.
learned all the skills necessary to now manage that career again as someone that's adjusting to blindness, and now he can have confidence going back into that career field.
Yeah, no, that's super important to try to if the person wants to keep that job that they had before they lost their vision, it's really important to stick with that because that's where they're comfortable. They just need to learn how to do things a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, that's
Just
amazing.
just one more person I'll just
Yeah.
kind of highlight a little bit. She came to us back in the early fall of 2024,
Mhm.
and she used to be a financial officer, and she lost her vision overnight. She didn't
Mm.
have an acute injury; it was a hereditary issue, but she woke up and she woke up completely blind. And she's one of those individuals that, despite the darkness that's behind her eyes, everything's bright and everything has an opportunity. And so she was adjusting to learning how to use software
Mhm.
and to be able to do those skills that she once felt like were second nature to her.
Mhm.
And watching her mature before our programs this last couple 4 to 6 months has been really inspiring. And she's about to hit the job market again herself. Already looking at different agencies for employment, already
Mhm.
doing some soft recruiting and networking opportunities, and the confidence that she's experienced while being at Alpha Point, being able to do those skills within the employment world, but then also manage all those day to day skills
Mhm.
that became hard all of a sudden.
Mhm.
Um, is again as a really exciting thing to watch play out.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've seen the changes that you're describing and giving somebody the opportunity to help themselves become more independent in their own home is just amazing because if you can't take care of yourself in your own home, the question then becomes how can you be successful in employment? And so it's really nice to have all of that training in one place so that you can be as independent as you need to be successful. And seeing that change and seeing that almost kind of like light bulb experience happen when you work with people is just the cherry on top of all the hard work.
Yeah,
It's a great feeling to walk through that with somebody.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, Follow-up question though. You said your person goes out into the field and works with employers. Do you guys struggle with that? Because before there were employment specialists and all that in my former life, that was a role I had to work with and it was very difficult. Sometimes you just had to show up and say, "Hey, please talk to me."
Yeah. Yeah, so Martin could definitely speak more to that, but I will talk about it as someone that works with him daily on his caseload and what successes he's having and some of those challenges. And the big thing that I glean from Martin's day to day experiences is and an employer is scared
Yes.
about potentially hiring someone with this specific disability.
Mhm.
One, I think that sometimes they're afraid of liability
Yes.
or some sort of potential lawsuit looming over their head as
Mhm.
a result of working with the blind or visually impaired population.
Mhm.
The other thing that I think employers will safely admit after they've had a chance to work with us is um, they're ignorant. With all due respect, they just don't know, and I don't mean that to be degrading. I
Yeah.
mean that they're without knowledge about the things that they already probably have access to support our population of prospective candidates, but they just didn't realize that. 2 and 2 is 4.
Yes.
And so it's something as simple as a software tool. It's
Mhm.
something as simple as making a slight adjustment or accommodation to that work development process.
Mhm.
Um, but those two things uh, between their just fear and then not knowing are probably the huge catalyst and what challenges Martin and we face day to day.
Mhm.
So building trust, establishing relationships, understanding that um, we can support their fear with some subtle, soft training,
Mhm.
uh, some um, some early engagement, and some reassurance that that's the reason why Martin exists is to
Mhm.
ensure that that transition for that candidate is smooth, it's supportive, and then it's long lasting.
Mhm.
Because what we know about the visually impaired and blind population is they're loyal. Once they land in a career or a job, um, they they want to do everything to maintain that.
Yes.
And compared to today's employment market, uh, it,
Mhm.
they will stand the test of time with
Yes.
most employers.
Yes. No, I agree with that. I've seen it. I've experienced it. Yes. 100%. Okay. Yeah, no, it's interesting that it's still a struggle that employers don't quite understand the vision impaired world. But again, how are they going to understand it unless they have to work through that situation? So, very thankful for all the efforts that you're going to help make that bridge a little bit easier to cross through.
Martin does a really good job of highlighting those candidates' skills,
Mhm.
their ambitions, and then identifying where those employment needs are. So if he can make a connection with a prospective employer,
Mhm.
he's really great at seeing some alignment there
Mhm.
and helping describe that to the employer.
Mhm.
And then typically what he does is he kind of fades off into the background,
Mhm.
allowing for that candidate to then um, kind of rise to the occasion
Yes.
and take over. So those several successes where he's had a placement and an individual is happily working at a job that they're excited to be working in
Mhm.
has been a result of really a lot of his process from that initial kind of advocate role to that cheerleader role.
Mhm.
I like to call people when they're in that advocacy role Mickey from Rocky because I'm a big heroes guy, and so I would say that Martin's usually their Mickey,
Mhm.
and so he's the guy that's in the corner that's watching them kind of fight through these things, but he's never going to throw in the towel. He knows that at the end of the day, they're his champion, and he's prepared to kind of teach him some new things if needed.
Yeah. That's such a hard role though, in that you have to kind of sit back and watch and understand what's happening so that you can guide the person in the right way and then communicate with the employer. It's a lot. It is very difficult sometimes. So I'm glad that role exists though for individuals because building that bridge again, super hard.
Yeah, um, and not getting easier at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand that. Okay, so let me get back to the questions. I don't wanna just read the questions and stuff to you because I don't, want it to be bland, if you will. So please tell me if I'm skipping anything that you would like to, discuss, okay?
you bet.
Okay, okay, we are gonna go back to the youth programming and how that helps people and teams to, for future independence. So I guess to elaborate a little bit, because we've already talked about the youth program, have you seen where an individual, a youth, has come into the program, and then we've talked about how they transition and come and work for Alpha Point sometimes as counselors, volunteers, but have you seen them broach into the community outside of that almost safe haven, if you will, into a community that is not as understanding about vision impairment and be able to communicate well and work through some of the difficulties that life has?
I I don't know if I've had a chance to really see that play out, given I've only been there, 14 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have experienced through word of mouth, someone that has been through our youth programs and is now um, our retail store manager,
Mhm.
or they're
Yes.
currently at UMKC. eventually trying to become a teacher for the visually impaired.
Yes.
And then I get to learn through their experiences, those struggles, and then how they're managing through that process. So I haven't had the opportunity yet to watch a kid just go through our programs, get those skills, whether they're tactile or soft skills, and then watch them um, get to kind of deploy or use those skills later on.
Mhm.
Um, Directly, but I have had the experience of working with someone that's gone through our youth programs, and he's probably this what I consider like a lifeblood of Alpha Point. This person went through our youth programs. He's now our store manager.
Mhm.
He's also a champion of something called the Youth Advisory Council that we have at Alpha Point. And his footprint on Alpha Point's programs are a testament to his kind of desire, his will,
Mhm.
but they may be rooted in what Alpha Point's purpose was, is to help him gain confidence, to help ensure that he understands that everything should be equitable, that there will be challenge, but there's ways to navigate that.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, I know the individual you're speaking of, and I've seen him grow into somebody who's able to advocate for himself and speak up. Um, it's hard when you're young and you're trying to speak up because sometimes you're still so angry about your vision loss that that kind of goes into the world without you maybe knowing it. And so, not everybody reacts that way, but I have seen that specific individual grow in how he says things and how he communicates with other people who are not in the vision impaired or blind world. And it is so great to see how eloquent that individual has been with communicating to the other population, if you will. We're getting into the relationships of sighted and not sighted, so I'm going to use all the terms.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah.
I have a common phrase that he can probably take advantage of at some point, but I often say that if he's selling it, I'm usually buying it,
Mhm.
because he's a great speaker.
Yes.
He speaks with passion and commitment, and then he's very detailed and thorough. So
Yes.
it's it's somewhat it catches me off guard, I think, from time to time,
Mhm.
or very surprising, I should say,
Yes.
that when he's able to articulate something that I can imagine that someone that could be as potentially charged and at some point was um, angry,
Yeah.
to then have uh, the composure and self awareness to know that if you come at this with a different angle, then it can have more impact.
Yeah. And, just when you're young and you don't know how to talk to people in general, you're trying to build those social connections, and then you're like, "Oh, now I have to tell my fellow student that I can't see, and when they wave, I can't see it." So, just building your confidence and being able to share that is I struggled with it a lot, and I still do. So,
I think we all do, cited or not, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Public speaking is not always the most exciting thing to
It
do.
is not. So, and
Yeah.
and being on a podcast is kind of scary, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, it's a conversation. Yes, we're gonna do the Superman pose to build the confidence. Yes. Okay, let me get back on track because I know we've kind of went to a different direction. Okay. Oh yeah, let's talk about assistive technology. Um, I know that's a really big topic to discuss, but what would you say about assistive technology with regards to the blind community? Have you seen really cool things that maybe the rest of us don't know about? Or like, I don't know, what would you like to say about
Well,
that?
if I could provide a little bit of perspective, this is what I compare it to.
Yeah.
My previous place of employment, I worked in the surgical medical field. So
Okay.
I worked for private practice. These were surgeons,
Mhm.
and the great thing that is somewhat intimidating, but also very rewarding working in the medical field is the amount of technology advancement and
Yes.
just variety, diversity within different pieces of equipment or new kind of forward-leaning technology that you can then use to provide safer surgical experiences to patients.
Mhm.
That is the world that we live in, within the assistive technology, community here at AlphaPointe, and
Mhm.
what I've experienced so far in this agency is there's always another cool new product that's being introduced to the market.
Yes.
It can cost you, and it's so cool that
Yes.
everybody wants it. Um, but there's a great deal of, is it a need or is it a want?
Mhm.
Is it something that is kind of intended to provide a supplemental experience to,
Mhm.
um, whether it's some sort of orientation mobility guide,
Mhm.
or it's technology where someone can enhance a screen.
Mhm. Mhm.
The idea that that I when I first came to Alpha Point, I thought I would probably experience a lot of just canes, and
Mhm.
then just maybe some like magnifiers or things.
Mhm.
But it's so interesting to see what's hitting the market next,
Mhm.
and even the likes of the nation are being affected um, by specific devices that they don't realize are intended for the BVI community, and things like Ray Bans.
Yes. I
Um,
was just thinking that.
they're semi-affordable, right?
Mhm.
They're more expensive than just a regular pair of glasses,
Like
but
300 something or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas maybe um, their, uh, their competing technology, products out there could be a little bit more expensive,
Mhm.
but they in essence provide, similar types of experiences. They allow a person to really take in their environment,
Mhm.
um, create some association there, create some feeling of safety and trust,
Mhm.
and then give them an opportunity to engage in maybe areas they were less likely to engage in the previous before the Ray Ban life. So
Yeah. No, Ray-Ban, that is such an exciting development in assistive technology. For those who don't know, it's a pair of glasses that are literally like a computer built in, and it'll tell you about the building you're walking up next to. You can have like your grocery items read to you, or I don't know what else would you say? I don't know all the things yet. I'm still learning about it, but
yeah,
it's pretty amazing to
it's
see this technology.
it's really great. So imagine the Chat GPT world through
Mhm.
glasses.
Yeah.
It's providing some summary analysis to a person, so long as they're inquiring, right?
Yes.
Sometimes they just want to look cool, and
Yes.
they got these awesome specs on, right?
Yes.
But yeah, it's giving them real time feedback on what's going on, and it's subtle, and
Yes.
it's discreet, meaning not everybody gets to hear what that person's hearing because
Yes.
um, those glasses are going around their earlobe, and then it's delivering a very discreet message. So someone can take in their environment, they can understand who maybe they can approach or
Yes.
engage with. They can do it in a manner that's um, it's confidence building,
Yes.
because not everybody else has to hear it too.
Yes. And, what is it? It connects with a lot of the blind apps out there. Um, I saw a demo of that a little bit, and it'll connect to music, so you could, maybe just focus on what you're working on and listen to music or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, but, yeah, those are incredible.
And
Assistive technology.
that's only one product,
I
right? I mean,
know
we could I mean, this whole day could be about the technology world,
Absolutely.
specifically at Alpha Point or even beyond.
Mhm.
We work with a lot of local vendors or
Mhm.
national vendors, and our whole goal is to ensure that we're providing the best product opportunities
Yes.
to the low vision or visually impaired community, and we're also trying to provide them so that they're also affordable.
Mhm.
So we have a retail store at Alpha Point called Connecting Point,
Mhm.
and we try to promote some of those products to people as they come through our doors on an as needed basis.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and then ensure that they can also put their hands on them, experience them, and kind of make some decisions whether or not they, again, have that want versus need
Yes.
type of situation.
Yes.
Um,
That's a hard that's a hard situation to be in because you know that the person wants it, but, like, is this going to actually help you in your goal? And so even just having something to look at and play with, you're like, "Oh, this might be too techy. Maybe I don't want this." And so that really kinda helps narrow down, uh, the conversation, which is sometimes hard to talk about
Yeah.
with the person. So I've experienced all of that, and I am so thankful for all of the different products out there because when I was in school, this was not portable, and I'm so thankful for this
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So
It can be life changing,
it
life
is.
altering.
It is.
The only other thing that I'll consider adding that I
Yeah.
think is important is just our training services for assistive technology.
Yes.
I think those are worth highlighting, and
Yes.
I know that they're a customized experience based off of those goals and objectives that individual wants to achieve,
Mhm.
but they're also foundational because we know that anybody that hits the workforce will probably have to be able to navigate their Office or Google based emails,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
all those add-on products that they would need to be able to manage too, whether it's a Excel or a Sheets or a PowerPoint or a
Mhm.
slide. It really just depends on what their career goals are.
Mhm.
But the assistive technology piece to that specifically that I think is important to mention is the individual or individuals providing this training,
Mhm.
because there are people that, as training instructors, we have one that's visually impaired herself,
Mhm.
and then the other that's a TVI that's worked with visual impairment her entire adulthood.
Mhm.
And they have perspective. They realize that anybody that's coming into our facility for training that wants to learn how to use these and help arm themselves with the right tools, um, they realize that there's a deep level of complexity to them, and so they're going to have a moment where it's hard to learn,
Mhm.
or they need to Superman pose,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so I don't think that those I don't think that all of this technology that's out there in this world for the visual impaired community would be as great if it was just out there and no one was there to provide the
Mhm.
on-time training that a
Mhm.
person would need within these areas or devices. And so I do think that it's bolstered by the individuals that are providing the training, whether they're sighted or not.
Mhm.
And I do think that it's a testament to kind of Alpha Point's whole purpose
Mhm.
within the AT environment, as ensuring that we all provide that full experience,
Absolutely.
and keep some perspective.
Yeah, yeah, no, the stuff is not easy. I mean, you can tell with mine, I don't know what I'm doing. So having somebody to call and just be like, "How do I make this stay turned on?"
Yeah,
Or, "What do I do in this situation?" It's super important because this is not easy and it is a huge transition into figuring out what works and what doesn't for you. So,
yeah.
yeah, no, the teachers definitely praise all the way.
Thank
So,
you. I'll share
yeah.
that message with them.
Yes, please do, please do. If it's okay with you, we're gonna take a quick break, maybe get some water, coffee, whatever you need, and
Yeah,
then we'll come back, okay?
that sounds great.
All right. See you soon.
Here at The Whole Person, we believe everyone deserves the chance to live independently and with confidence, regardless of ability. And to make that happen, we need volunteers like you. By joining us, you'll have the opportunity to support impactful areas, from administration and event planning to hands-on roles like assisting with our blind and low vision programs or helping at our special events like the Big Dill Classic and Expressions Art Exhibition. Every role, whether it's outreach, community engagement, or even offering pro bono professional services, makes a lasting difference. The Whole Person serves over 2,500 individuals annually, and with your help, we can make their dreams a reality. As a volunteer, you'll become part of a vibrant, supportive community dedicated to empowering people with disabilities. Our roles are flexible, meaningful, and tailored to fit your interests and expertise. Ready to make a difference? Visit thewholeperson.org/volunteer to explore our wide range of volunteer opportunities and get involved. Together, let's make independence accessible for all. Just a little of your time can lead to amazing change.
All right. Thanks for joining us again. My name is Haley Korf. I'm your vision impaired host, and we have Howard here still answering all of our questions about the vision impairment world. Um, Howard, is it okay if we just jump right into some more questions?
Let's do it.
Okay. So You, as someone who has vision, I usually call them sighties. So, is it something you've noticed a lot? Like, are there misconceptions that you've seen with, maybe people talking about vision impairment who don't always understand vision impairment? Have you seen, like, some misconceptions that your agency has been trying to correct in the community?
W Yeah, we have,
That's a tough
so
question.
yeah, and I even had one coming into, this particular, community and population. The probably the obvious one that we experience is that, anybody that has a visual impairment or blindness, is fully blind, so they have 0 sight,
Yes.
and, there's, a lot of evidence that, that's not the case. In fact, a large part of the population we work with have some sight or they have light perception,
Mhm.
and so that's a big one that we face is just helping people understand kind of the spectrum of blindness of visual impairment.
Yeah. Um, I think some of the other ones that I've seen, because I used to go into IEP meetings and all that stuff, is a lot of people assume that because you have low vision, you're not exactly smart enough to carry out this employment goal or this goal. And so that was something, and I've personally fought through that. It's really hard. It's really hard to work through that.
Yeah. We see that a lot with kids. We know that some kids are categorized as low vision, but then because they're functional or they can see the hallway, they're maybe not given as many resources as their fully blind
Hmm.
peers. And so we have to still strongly advocate so that they can get all those additional resources and ensure that they're getting that expanded core curriculum outside of
Yeah.
the school as well.
Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough, especially when you don't know how to convey yourself, like, what you're going through. So, thank you for being there for everybody.
Yeah, thanks for being tough.
Mhm. Yeah. I learned that from my mom. She was like, "You have to speak up for yourself." I was like, "No." It's been a journey. Okay. Oh, so Howard, we talked a little bit about some of the success stories. But is there anyone else that you'd like to highlight a little bit, that you've walked with, through their journey?
The one person that comes to mind is our youth program manager. Her
Mhm.
name is Lori. I'll share that with you here today. She's an incredible individual.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why I like to highlight Lori is because she has a great deal of perspective. She's went from absolutely zero resources and equity from childhood to adulthood to still limited resources to now strongly advocating and ensuring kids get the things that she didn't have.
Mhm.
And so Lori's someone that is very articulate. She has ability to connect with the individual
Mhm.
and their personality and understand what they're bringing to the world that maybe has nothing to do with sight.
Mhm.
And she just cares. Yeah, she just absolutely cares about the person. And so she's someone that as our youth program manager, she was actually one of Martin's clients that was searching for employment, and she had strategized a little bit on different job opportunities out in the community. She used to work for another organization that was a not for profit, and she has a great deal of administrative skills, and she can speak very well. And then she just tossed her application into the hat, and we met kind of on a whim. It was she tossed in an application, and I reached out to her, not knowing that she was in the building at the time. And within a day, we were talking, and I just knew within the first 10 minutes she was the person to be facilitating all the things that we do with our youth.
Mhm.
She's a champion of all sorts. She believes in identifying those growth and development opportunities. SoftPoint's made a name for itself for providing strong resources to this specific population, but there's still so much work to be done,
Mhm.
right? AlphaPoint's done a fantastic job. The people before us, those they were pioneers, right?
Mhm.
This is a tough environment,
It is.
and they had to stay in the trenches regularly.
Mhm.
Lori supports that. She embraces that toughness perspective, and then she's now looking for ways to advance it. And so, something as simple as the Abacus B, which is a national B for kids that want to demonstrate their math skills
Mhm.
through using a device called an abacus. AlphaPointe hasn't done that historically. And early on, within 3 months, Lori's like, let's bring that to AlphaPointe. Let's make it happen. And she sent 4 kids to nationals this year. They
Oh my
just got back from Kentucky. Two of them placed. And so she went down there. She was coaching them and just being their Mickey
Yeah,
the entire time.
yeah. No, I've worked with Lori in the past actually for a beep ball, and she was just a ray of sunshine. It was amazing to have such a unique perspective from her about so many different things, and, yeah, she is the right person for that job.
Yeah,
I
she's great.
agree,
We're
yeah.
lucky to have her.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. We've talked about it a little bit. Okay, so how does AlphaPointe engage with the community to promote accessibility? So we've talked about it a little bit, but what kind of specific things are you working towards to build knowledge in the community and work with everyone?
Yeah. So, again, keeping perspective that we're dealing with all age populations from
Mhm,
youth to seniors, I think we really focus our efforts on two specific areas. One, we have two kind of branding events or fundraising events,
mhm,
and those are specifically targeted at encouraging community awareness, also driving in some revenue opportunity and some fundraising and donation dollars for our programs, but it's an opportunity for us to highlight our program successes and then areas for growth to the greater community. The big event that we just had was Boots and Pearls.
yes.
It's a huge party, but
Mhm,
it's showcasing our achievements over the last year,
mhm,
and then really kind of diving into what we hope to achieve going forward,
mhm,
and then using um, some level of like testimonial from those that have went through our programs or working in our manufacturing department.
mhm.
The other big event that we have is it's our golf event. It's a huge event that's going to happen here in May, May 12th, actually, up at the National, and it's a really great opportunity again for us to focus or highlight the youth programs. So, I should have said Boots and Pearls is focusing on our training services and our clinical services, highlighting all the things that they're achieving. And then the golf tournament focuses on youth programs. And so at that event, we will kick off with someone that's a great singer,
Mhm.
that's also visually impaired,
Love it.
um, just highlighting one of their many talents.
Mhm,
And then we will close with a program that talks about where all those funds will go to, what we've been able to achieve over this last couple of years, and then things that we're looking to achieve going forward, and why their funding dollars are so important.
mhm.
So the big fundraising events are really important to note at Alpha Point, and they have such a great impact on our programs because they help support our programs, keeping the lights on and the doors open,
Mhm.
and ensuring people get the services they need. The other big thing that I, really want to talk about when it comes to Kansas City and promoting is just our interest in going out and talking about visual impairment within the community.
Mhm.
Um, Here's what we know about visual impairment: is if a person lives long enough, they will eventually become visually impaired.
Correct.
And so there's a population of people that don't realize that they have a lot of resources out there they could tap into,
Mhm.
whether that's a device that they put before them or whether that's specific training. Technology's tough,
Mhm.
especially as you age, because we don't always get um, the booklet on how to manage those things.
Yes.
But that's our goal is to go out to those populations and champion for them on the things that they can get or receive, or maybe provide to maybe a peer, um, and then they can refer someone over. Or they can come to our services themselves.
Mhm.
So we do a lot of outreach. I present at least once a month in maybe an independent living facility or a senior living facility or at a school.
Mhm.
I'd like to present more. Um, there's always opportunity. Um, just making sure that it's the right fit is always
Yeah.
important too.
Yeah. Presenting is not my strong suit, so
And you're
good for
doing a
you.
great job right now.
Oh, good lord, okay. Thank you. That is so great to hear, though, about the opportunities you have at Alpha Point. I don't know if it's just well known or not in the community. So thank you for sharing that on here. And if you need help promoting it, just let me know and we'll get it out there.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let me see here. Let me get back to some of our questions because we've got a lot of good questions here. I just trying this new
They're making me
technology.
think.
I know, right? Like, oh gosh, that girl Haley. Um, oh yeah, what partnerships or collaborations have helped to expand Alpha Point's reach? So you mentioned you've worked with the state and referrals just by word of mouth. What kind of other collaborations or partnerships have helped?
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about our relationship and our partnership, right? I
Yes.
think our relationship with the whole person and ensuring that, um, we can share resources or provide social opportunities and social engagement together is really a testament to our efforts to the community.
Mhm.
So what the whole person is doing is we're appreciative of this partnership. We have students that come here from out of town, and when they come here, they stay in a hotel when they're not in training,
Mhm.
and that can get lonely, and there can be some isolation things
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So the fact that you guys provide social engagement opportunities or opportunities for them to get out, meet others, is a huge testament. And so we appreciate that. There's so many other partnerships. So we work with other organizations that have a like mission. I won't call it the exact same mission, but
Mhm.
we work with the Children's Center for the Visually Impaired,
Yes.
um, and often we've seen kids graduate out of that program and then come to Alpha Point.
Yeah.
Um, and then sometimes people will come to Alpha Point beforehand and will say, actually, we'd recommend going to CCVI first.
Mhm. Mhm.
They do something called the trolley run that's coming up that everybody's really excited
Yes.
about.
Yes.
We work with them. We work with Kansas School for the Blind.
Mhm. Mhm.
We work with uh, organizations like Ability One
Yes.
or Ability KC,
Mhm.
Job One.
Yep.
Um, and there's so many more. There's dozens of organizations that are not for profit or they're mission based to support the disability population that we know that we can partner with.
Mhm.
We don't have all the answers, so we depend on other organizations to be able to supplement, um, our services. So things like behavioral health or mental support,
Mhm.
those things are critical. So working
Yes.
with maybe a university health or
Mhm.
a counseling agency that wants to provide a service at reduced costs is
Mhm.
critical
Yes.
to our ability to provide strong, kind of resounding programs.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there's so many more. I mean, I could dive into it a little bit deeper if we need
Yeah.
to, but
No, I
that's
think that's good. It's good to know the resources around you so that because you're right, we don't have all the answers, and I don't think any one of us ever will. But it takes a community sometimes.
yeah,
Mhm. That's great. That's great. Okay. Okay. Mhm. Oh yeah. Okay. So, what are some of the biggest challenges people with this vision loss face today, and how's Alpha Point working to address them? We've talked a lot about different challenges throughout our conversation, but what is one of the biggest things that you've seen come across your way?
yeah. One thing I don't think we've talked about is transportation.
Yeah,
Um,
you were right.
there's a couple that really kind of stand out for me. And transportation is one of the most troubling.
Mhm.
People have to get to where they're going. They have to do it
Yep.
safely and affordably.
Yes.
Right now, if someone wants to go into the employment community
Mhm.
and they want to find a job, the question then becomes, okay, they can get a job. How do they get there every day,
Mhm.
right? How are they going to be able to manage that job, and what's going to cost them if they are able to do that?
Yep.
There are some services here in Kansas City that provide some ability to make it affordable, but they're not perfected.
Yeah.
There's still some work to be done in that arena. So transportation is probably the most challenging, specifically for this population. Um, and it's one of those that I don't think there's going to be ever a long term foolproof answer.
Yeah.
It's customized based off the individual.
Mhm.
The other big thing, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, was the mental health aspect of everything that's going on.
Mhm.
Whether you're someone that's new to blindness and you're adjusting, and that's a roller coaster experience because you want to have grit, right? You want to just
Mhm.
lean into this and keep a positive attitude, but that's uh,
Tough.
I, I as a person that's sighted, I can't imagine going from sight to no sight,
Mhm,
or very limited sight for functionality purposes. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so soft spoken about that transition for individuals,
mhm,
because there are layers to their their experience. And so making sure that they have someone they can just unload all these stressors on,
mhm,
and just maybe help them, Rolodex them, and then brainstorm on ways to provide safe solutions or things that they could then maybe get some perspective from.
mhm,
Because that's not something that we focus on at Alpha Point. That's an area that um, is a little bit different than what we're doing. We're providing training and skill set
mhm,
within specific areas. uh, what we notice is that everybody that comes into our doors is, they need support beyond the 8 hour, 6 to 8 hours they're with us.
mhm,
And so sometimes that's just a mentor or a friend.
mhm,
Sometimes that's someone that's walked their shoes before,
mhm.
that can talk about it. So those gathering points or those social engagements are critical.
Yes.
Other times it's more sensitive. It's private. The thoughts that are going through their head, um, those are kind of sacred to them. They're just not going to tell anybody. So we want them to
Mhm,
have those resources. And so mental health would be a great addition to every person that's coming through our doors to ensure that they're able to, again, just kind of digest everything that's going on, and then help keep perspective so that they can still stay focused on their goals and maintain some optimism.
yeah. No, I agree with that because if well, let's say, I was just vision impaired just yesterday. How do I do certain things and how do I talk about it to somebody I don't even know and how do you wrestle through all of that? So just having somebody to talk to, whether it be mental health support or another person who's gone through it, absolutely crucial because sometimes when you deal with new vision loss, there's not a light at the end of the tunnel that you can see until you start working with other people.
Yeah.
So,
The one thing that I can say that everyone's trying to work on to address with those things is, we tend to try to cast a wide net and then hope to collect a surplus of resources along the way.
yeah.
So we realize that one solution for an individual, for that individual, may not work for the next individual,
Mhm,
or there may be some, again, complexity where they don't have the same insurance coverage or they don't have the same funds and resources available to them.
mhm.
um,
Yes.
so we try to cast a wide net. We try to collect as many people that are willing to partner with us,
Mhm,
whether that's a SWOPE Health or a University Health or a KU
mhm,
Med, or other healthcare facilities in the area,
mhm,
or that's similar organizations that are not for profits that are probably already doing something along those lines, and that can
mhm,
maybe outsource, or we can contract out through them to provide those very in demand services.
mhm. It takes a village.
It takes a village.
It really does. Okay, Howard, I'm looking at the next question here, and it's number 14 for your paper. But how can individuals and businesses in the community get more involved and support Alpha Point? What can we do to help you?
How much time do you have?
All day. Let's go for it.
So the first thing that I would ask of the community or any individual that wants to start working with Alpha Point is to have an open mind,
Mhm,
to be willing to come to the table and put in some work, in return for a feeling of uh, you've done a good job, and you're giving back. So if you're a business agency and you have an opportunity to employ people, first take our calls, be willing to meet with us,
mhm,
learn about Alpha Point. And if you're someone that can be a decision maker, uh, keep an open mind. Don't see just the risk, or the limited liability that you're charged with trying to avoid, right?
mhm, mhm,
If you're someone that's an individual and you're looking to get involved with Alpha Point, I'll I I will start with charging you to um, probably trash all of what your initial thoughts are of the visually impaired and blind community, because you're going to learn so much more. So throw those in the dumpster and come in with a clean slate. Not everybody is completely blind. Everybody that you meet has a kind of a hidden talent or skill, And it's so exciting to watch because in most cases, they haven't had a chance to showcase those talents and skills.
Mhm.
So if you're an individual that's considering working with AlphaPointe or with this population, just probably can all those initial thoughts and then just come in with a clean slate and just absorb everything and then figure out where you can provide some support or impact. Figure out where you can have um, an opportunity to leave some sort of imprint on what's going on around here. We can't do what we do without the amount of volunteers and support we get from the community. So I say this and with all due respect, we have a lot of support right now. You know, we work with the Delta Gammas and the Lions Club,
Yes, yes.
and we work with volunteer agents or communities out there that just believe in our mission and supporting that youth, the senior experience or spectrum. So um, I think it starts with an open mind and ability to figure out where you can show off your talents to this particular community and figure out where we can work together.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. That is a good thing to remember. I will say volunteering for beat kickball was very eye-opening, and I am not sports anything, so I will man the desk, but,
Yeah,
that is my skill. So
I
I learned that.
I love it when we do sports. So I'm a big sports fanatic. Not as much hockey,
Okay,
but
okay,
definitely football, basketball, baseball. I'm a golfer.
okay.
Amateur, terrible golfer,
Still
uh,
counts.
but I enjoy it. Right.
Great.
Something that I found is recreational sports should be more inclusive.
I agree.
And it's funny you bring up sports because something I like to do that's no cost, but it's built into our city is something called disc golf. Um,
Yeah.
and disc golf is a recreational sport where there's basically a concrete pad, and then you throw a disc where you could eventually kind of place the disc inside of a basket.
Mhm, mhm.
You don't have to be directionally aware to be able to just throw a disc, right?
Right.
But you do have to navigate the space.
Yeah.
What I learned just a couple of months ago is that the disc golf community actually is inclusive. You can pull
Mm,
up a disc golf app,
yeah.
and it can give you the audio feedback you need to be able to figure out where that basket
No
is.
way.
It doesn't necessarily tell you where you need to aim
Yeah.
your arm,
Yeah, yeah.
so that takes a little bit of like building the relationship between where the basket is and where you're going to throw the arm. Or maybe if you're going out with a buddy, they can give you um, some perspective
Mhm.
landmark type stuff, but it's definitely something that's no cost.
Mm,
There's already, tens of disc golf courses built into our community,
mhm.
and it creates the ability for someone to learn orientation mobility in alter terrain,
Yes.
right? You're on
Yes.
concrete, you're in gravel,
Yeah.
you're walking up the side of a hill. Who knows, right? So it's one of those that the reason I bring it up is because I feel like that type of stuff should be maybe more highlighted,
I
because
agree.
there's a great deal for me. I hope that this is also something that others experience when I go out and I do these types of
Mhm.
things. I've I I've just either vented or I've just had those opportunities to recreationally just explore my own talents at no cost. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's funny when you try something new and then you're like, "Oh, I am actually kinda good at this," or
Yeah.
like, "I really enjoy this," and it's good. I used to be very leery about those kind of things, like going out and volunteering and helping, and now I'm like, "Okay, no, I know I can do this. I know I can provide some sort of level of support. I just don't know all of my talents."
Yeah.
So it is a really great way to figure out more about yourself too.
It's scary when you have to just put that first foot
So
forward,
scary.
right?
It's
Yeah,
so scary.
yeah, but you don't know unless you try.
Yeah.
And um, what's the worst case scenario? You tried and you're like, "Oh, that didn't work out."
Yep.
It
Yep.
it is a tough lesson. It's
Yep.
ego's tough,
Yep.
but you still get to learn from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so I know that we've asked you quite a lot of questions. If it's all right, let's go ahead and wrap up. I think our last question is going to be more of what would you tell somebody who is newly vision impaired or somebody coming to you for advice? What would be the one piece of advice that you would give?
Ooh, that's a tough
I
question.
know it is, but
Um,
it's my favorite question.
it's such an important question too.
Mhm,
Um, so the one thing that I know coming into this community is that no one has all the answers, right?
mhm, mhm,
And if you are starting off, yesterday you had sight, today you don't.
mhm,
The question becomes, what's your next move? And um, you don't know where to begin, right? So, where do I mean, how do you even research? You can't just, if you're figuring out how to navigate your phone, that's not something that comes secondhand to you anymore.
mm-mm.
So, the first thing that I encourage people to do is to get loud. Um, turn into that Superman.
Yes.
Get loud because the squeaky will get the grease.
Mhm,
And most importantly, it's important that when you start to figure out what you're going to do, that you let people know that you're not going anywhere.
mhm,
You're here to stay, and you do it with respect, right? There's a way to get loud and to maintain respect and kindness,
mhm.
uh, but it's one of those that um, you, you have to be your best advocate. Um,
Absolutely.
People can lean into agencies like the Whole Person or Alpha Point, and they can say, "Hey, help me out," and they
Mhm,
can kind of beg and plead. Uh, Unfortunately, you're relying on someone else at that point,
mhm.
and that's not always the best. Um, uh, and I think we're doing great work, but that's not always the best plan
Yes.
because we're fallible, and
Yes.
we have 8 people calling us, and we have to triage those 8 people
Mhm.
or 80 people.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's important to get loud, to be the squeaky wheel, and then it's important to start to connect and to network. So if you're visually impaired, call Alpha Point right away.
Mhm,
We won't have all the answers. We can't give you money tomorrow,
mhm,
but we can start your application for state-based services.
mhm,
We can plug you into um, other social based organizations
mhm,
like the Whole Person, like Ability KC, depending on your injury or disability.
mhm, mhm.
Um, and if you're a parent of someone that's newly experiencing visually impaired or blind, don't give up, right?
Yeah.
Don't close the door or think that, hey, you got a no here, it's a no everywhere.
Mhm.
Keep an open mind, stay hopeful, stay optimistic, and stay proud because you're doing the right work. Um, and this is a thriving opportunity. Uh, there are lots of challenges and barriers along the way, but there's still so much room to be made, and um, it's it's a testament to people that have gone through the experience and now they're on the other end providing the service, or they're on the other end experiencing the success.
Mhm.
It can be done, right?
Absolutely.
I have a mantra that I'll usually kind of leave for my kids from time to time, and I use every day.
Love it.
And
Yes.
it's just go through it, right? We have to go through it. There's nothing that we can turn around, and go the other direction and then still face if we're running from it.
Mhm.
So if we go through it, if we weather the storm, if we push through whatever that adversity is, it'll likely make us stronger and more resilient for the next whatever barrier comes before us,
Absolutely.
because there will be another one.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah, like, how to use the technology. Oh, I'm so embarrassed, but it's a learning process, and part of that is being embarrassed and figuring it out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I agree with that, yeah. No, I my phrase is I like to say, "Play it forward, play the tape forward, and see what happens, see what the outcome is, and
Nice.
you'll work through it."
Yeah.
So, similar thoughts. Yeah. Well, this has been great. I there are so many questions that I wanna ask and go through, so, you're welcome to join us again on another podcast if you would like, but please let us know if there's anything you would like to share or, share out in the community, about events and stuff like that. We would be more than happy to host you again. Is there a website that we can share, on our screen and as a resource page that would be best? Would it just be alphapoint.com or org?
Yeah, yeah, www.alphapointe.org, and
Mhm.
that's Alpha Point with an E.
Yes.
So yeah, go to our website, and then our website is accessible. You should be able to figure out which area you're trying to focus on. Are you a senior? Are you a mom or dad of a youth member?
Mhm.
Are you someone that's just getting started in being visually impaired or blind?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then call us, email us, text us. do whatever you need, and then keep doing those things because we don't want to forget you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, we will share that. And like I said, you are always welcome to join us, depending on how the schedule goes.
Yeah.
And we will just work through it.
This has been a blast. I just thank you for having me, and
Absolutely.
thank you for doing the work you're doing in the community as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Have a good day. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on our podcast. Today, I'm going to go through some of the monthly events that the Whole Person hosts. Again, my name is Haley Korf. I am your vision impaired host today, so bear with me. I've got a lot of notes here, okay? All right, the first event is Getting Social. It's the first Friday of every month. The next event is Time to Spare, and that is the third Wednesday of every month. That is our accessible bowling open to everyone who has a disability. The next event is Mind's Eye View, and that is the first Monday of every month. That is more geared towards people who are vision impaired or blind to get together and talk about some of the difficulties. Then after that, we have our DIY skills for young adults, age range 18 through 24, and that is the last Wednesday of every month. Brain Injury Peer Support Group, the second Thursday of every month. And then Tech Talk, the second Monday of the month. And that is also geared towards people who are vision impaired or blind to get together and talk a little bit more about accessibility issues. If you have any more questions, feel free to look it up at thewholeperson.org. And again, please join us for any event at any time. Thank you.